How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, and I just want to say a couple things before we get into it. First off, I'm sorry for the messy background. We literally just got back from a little bit of a trip, so we just kind of unpacked stuff on the bed behind me. And also, in between last episode and this episode, there's a little bit of mishap with the code. Things didn't really get pushed, so I had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what goes in this episode and what was in last episode. So hopefully I got that all cleared out. But with that being said, today we are going to be going ahead and continue working on this dropdown, getting the following followers and followed by logic, and then going ahead and fixing up a couple of bugs. Let's go ahead and hop into the code. Also want to say sorry about my webcam. I'm having a really hard time getting it dialed in. I really need to get a light or something, so we'll try to work on that as well. So we're going to go ahead and start out here inside of our pop-up thing that we worked on last episode. We're just going to go ahead and add a few things in here to get this working. So first off, we need to go ahead and add in a new piece of prop. So we're going to go ahead and say close modal is going to be a void function, just because I found some bugs whenever I was working on this in between episodes with opening and closing the modal. So we want to get that fixed up. Let's go ahead and add it into this list as well. So close modal, and I'll show you guys what we're doing with that. Now we're going to go ahead and just start basically setting up all of the state and all the different things that we need in here. So first we need const, and then current user following list is equal to use selector. Let's go ahead and grab use selector, and then we'll say state and root state like so, and this is going to be our state.user.following. So that'll be the people that we are following. We'll use this to kind of figure out whether or not to display a following button or not. Next, we're going to say const logged in is equal to, once again, use selector, and this will be state root state, and this will be state.user.logged in. So we'll get the current logged in user. And then finally, we'll get the token. So const token is equal to use selector state root state. And this will be state.user.token. We could have just gotten the user state, but I kind of like breaking it apart. Next, we're going to need a dispatch. So const dispatch. And this will be an app dispatch. So let's bring that in is equal to use dispatch. Let's bring use dispatch in. Cool. So that's some good stuff there. Next, we're going to say const following and set following. We're going to set some state is equal to use state. This will be a Boolean. And for the time being, we're going to go ahead and set this up as a callback function. And we're just going to go ahead and return false. We'll add some logic into this a little bit later. And let's see here. So this should be following list now and followers list. I kind of made a little bit of a change here. Following list and followers list. And then let's go ahead, and that should be fine. All right, and now it's just mad because we need to go ahead and import use state. So let's go ahead and update our import from React. Cool, so that's the state. We're gonna set up a function a little bit later to deal with that. So we'll deal with that in a second. Next, we're gonna say const, and we're gonna set up another piece of state, followed by, and set followed by. This is going to be kind of like for the list of different users that follow us, equal to use state, and then user array, not for the people that follow us, for the people that we follow that also follow the person that we're looking at here. A little bit confusing, but you'll see what it means in a sec. It's going to return followers list dot filter. We're going to pass a user and then make an arrow function inside this. We're going to say return current users following list dot sum, and then here we're going to say u. We're going to go an arrow function. We're going to say u dot user id is equal to user dot user id, and we're going to go ahead and say u dot user id is not equal to our logged in dot user id. And we'll add a question mark because technically logged in could be false. But basically what we want to do, and let's make sure we spell this right. But basically what we want to do here is we don't want our like following, because we're going to be following the person anyway. We're going to check our following list, and we're going to check the other person's following list basically, and we're going to see who we both follow that are the same. And now we need some other logic for our following button. So we're going to say const and following btn active. So this is going to be pretty simple. This one's just going to kind of change the text of the following button. So I'm going to set following button, and I missed this somehow. How did I miss this? Who knows? I might need to create this as well. Content to unfollow. Like I said, I could have somehow missed some stuff here, so I'll fix this in a second. And then following btn inactive is equal to this. And then whenever we hover over the button, we'll say set following btn content to following. Let's go ahead and set up this state that I missed somehow. So I'll just set it here. Const, and we'll say following btn content, and set following btn maybe content is equal to use state string. We're just going to set it to following to start. So like I said, there's a good chance I missed some stuff here, so I'll add it in if I see that we missed it. Next, we'll go ahead and set up another function to kind of map the content on the bottom of the screen. So we're going to say const map followed by content is equal to, and this is going to return a string. Then we can just return our content, I believe is what we call it. And then at the top here, let content equal to followed by, and then space. So this is going to be kind of like the bottom part where it says who you follow and they are also followed by. So we're going to go ahead and say followed by dot slice. So we're going to get the first 3 people. We're going to say dot for each user. And what we're going to go ahead and do is going to say content plus equal to, and backticks $ curly brace. We're going to say user dot nickname, and then we're going to add a comma and a space. So for each user, we're going to go ahead and add their nickname and a comma, and then we're going to check to see if there's at least 3 people in here. So we're going to say followed by dot length is greater than 3, because if there's more than 3, we're going to add some more content to the end. We're going to say content plus equal to, we're going to say backtick and then $ curly brace followed by dot length minus 3, because it also says others you follow. So if there's more than 3, we want to also go ahead and count how many extra there are that also follow them. And then otherwise, we're just going to go ahead and add a period basically, but we need to get rid of that comma and the space at the end. So we're going to say content is equal to content dot slice. And we're going to go ahead and say 0, -2 to take the last 2, and we're going to add a period to that. And we'll set up some testing stuff for this. We're gonna, I don't want to say get rid of, but we're gonna comment out some posts and stuff just to kind of show you all everything's working. So now what we can go ahead and do is do the final thing. So we're gonna say const and follow. So we're gonna set up the function that actually follows the user. So this is gonna go ahead and say dispatch. And we're gonna go ahead and dispatch follow user here, and follow user is gonna need follow e, which is going to be author.username, and it's going to need our token, which we already have. Let's go ahead and import this. There we go, and save that. Cool. So that is basically more or less all the logic. There is a little bit of logic we need to throw into the following to see whether or not we're following them, but we'll get that working in a second. So now let's go ahead and come down here. So the first thing that we wanted to go ahead and do is if our mouse leaves this pop-up, we want to go ahead and close the modal. So I'm going to go ahead and say on mouse leave is equal to, and then close modal. Again, we'll have to pass this as a prop a little bit later on. We'll be able to do that in a second. Next, we need to go ahead and actually set up this button, because this is where we kind of have to more or less determine whether or not we are following someone. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this because we have a little bit of work to do here, and I'll just go ahead and make a button new. So we have our curly braces. So we're going to go ahead and check the save following question mark. So if we are following, we'll have another button. And this will have a class name equal to, and this will be post dash profile dash following btn. And then in here I'll have on mouse over. So whenever we mouse over it, there's some stuff we do. So that's what we have following btn active. So whenever we hover over it, we'll have this on mouse leave. We're going to go ahead and say following btn inactive. So whenever we leave it, we'll set inactive. And then whenever we click on the following button, we're going to go ahead and follow the user. Cool. So now let's go ahead and close out this. And then inside of our button, we're going to go ahead and have our following btn content. So whether we're hovering over or whatever, we should have the right content. And then next we're going to have another button. So button, the class name equal to post dash profile dash, and then this will be follow btn. So if we need to follow them, we'll say on click equal to, once again, we'll say follow, and then inside it's going to say follow. So here towards the end of the episode, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to come in and we're going to set it up so whenever you follow someone that you're already following, it unfollows them, and then vice versa. So that's why we're doing it this way, if you guys were wondering. So now we can come down a little bit farther, and we want to come down here where we kind of have this following, I believe this one should be following list. So following list.length, and then this one will be following followers list.length. And then down here, we have this followed by, and all of this stuff, this post profile followed by container. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to wrap this inside of curly braces, like so. And we can also probably format this, so format to make it look a little bit nicer. But what we're going to go ahead and say is, so at the top, we're going to say followed by dot length is greater than 0. So if that's the case, we'll say and we will have our post profile container. So we'll only go ahead and set up or show this followed by part if they have people that we're following. I believe right now, I don't know if we have it set up to work. Like obviously it's set up to work, but I don't know if we have it set up where we're following the same people. But let's just go and take a look really quick. And we never actually set up following and followers, so that's cool. Oh, that's fine. So actually let's go ahead and fix this really quick. Let's hop into post and make this so it works. So basically it's complaining because we don't have everything that we need on here. So let's go down to our post username and fix this really quick. But we need to go into post username. I'm sorry. Let's hop into post username. Here we go. Okay, so this should be following list. Let's go ahead and fix this. So following list, and this should be followers list, and then we should have close modal, which is going to be equal to our close pop-up. Okay, now if we go into the front end, it should be working. We're not going to see much because we don't have our followers list here. We'll work on that in a minute. All right, cool. So now you see we don't have the followed by there because we don't have a list. We don't have anyone in common that we're both following. So that's the idea of that. We just have one more thing to put into our post pop-up, and then we're going to go ahead and continue working on actually getting some of the other stuff working so we can actually see that content. So let's hop back into the code. Okay, let's go back into our post pop-up, and finally we want to go ahead and fill in this followed by. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this. We're going to go ahead and use that map function that we used earlier. So what we're going to do is we'll add our curly braces. We're going to say map, and then followed, by maybe content, like that. There we go. Cool. So now that is more or less everything we need to do, other than to figure out how to stack the 3 PFPs. I know how to do that, but we're going to come back to that in a second. But first, we're going to go ahead and set up like a utility function, set up some other things, and get everything working. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up our Explorer, and I'm going to go down to our services. Not there, not util services. I'm going to make a user service. .ts, and we're going to go into it. So we're going to first set up a function to check if we're following someone. So I'm going to say export const, and we're going to say check following. It's equal to, and we're going to pass in a following list, which is a user array. We're going to pass in a current user, which is a user. We're going to have to go ahead and basically we're going to have to go ahead and import our user here. So let's go ahead and do that. So bring in our user from global interfaces, and then this is going to go ahead and say return following list dot sum. And this is basically something we've already used all over, and we're going to go through and kind of replace. That way we don't have duplicate code. But so user.user ID is equal to current user.user ID. So there's that. So now we can actually go ahead and go back into our other pop-up. So let's go back into our pop-up. And what we can go and do is we can go to the top here. We can actually fill out our state that we checked. Let's see if we're following this person. We'll go ahead and say if we are logged in. If we're logged in, we'll go ahead and say return check following, which we just created. Let's go and import that. We'll go ahead and do that, and we'll have our following list or followers list. Followers list and logged in. So we'll check the followers list of the person, and let's spell logged in right, and we'll see if we're inside their following list or followers list basically, and that'll tell us whether or not we're following them. So we're not really still going to see much because we still don't have a followers list that we're passing in. So again, I'm doing some logic here in a little bit. So first, let's go ahead and just finish up the styles of the profile pop-up, and then we can kind of continue going on there. So let's go into the CSS for profile pop-up. So we just have a couple things we're changing. So first off, we're going to go ahead and change the z-index here to 100. We're going to go ahead and change left to -100. Just a small change there. And then we're going to go ahead and set up the follow button because we already have a following button and a following button hover. But we want to go ahead and say .post dash profile dash follow dash btn. So this one's going to be slightly different because this is the one that's saying, hey, let's follow. I'm going to say width 90 pixels. We're going to go ahead and say height is 30 pixels. It's going to be the same height, just a little bit less long because there's not as many letters. Border will be none. A border radius of 15 px. We will have a background color of black, and we will have a color of white. So let's have black background, white text. Font size will be 16 px, and our font weight will be 800. And then we'll also go ahead and have a hover effect for this. So .post dash profile dash follow dash btn hover, and here we'll have a cursor, a pointer, and we'll have a background dash color, and here let's kind of make it like less dark of a black. So we'll RGBA 000. We're gonna do like 0.8 just to kind of fade the color a little bit. Next, we need to go to our followed by users. We have a little bit of a change here, so let's go down to followed by users. So here we're gonna go ahead and add a width to this. So we're gonna go head to the top here. I'm gonna say width is going to be 80%. And then we're going to go down to our followed by container, which we may or may not have. We don't. So let's go ahead and say dot. And this should probably be above the followed by users. So let's add it here. .post dash profile dash followed dash by container. So this is kind of what holds everything. And this is going to have a width of 100% because we want to fill up the entire space that we have. Our height will just be fit content. We'll make it work basically, and then we will have a display of flex. We're going to have a small gap between them of about 2 px just to kind of space them out. And then we have one more piece of styling here, dot, and then this will be post dash profile dash followed by EFPs, and we're going to set this up kind of last, but width will be 20%, and then our height will be fit dash content. So we're not really going to see much of a change on the front end until we get a little bit more work done. Let's go into our application. If we hover over, you can see it says follow because it doesn't know we're following. We didn't give them. Kind of hovers a little bit, but you can't really see the other stuff. And obviously we are following somewhere because we haven't really put all the logic in, so we'll get there. So now we're going to go back into our post username, do a little bit of work, and also go ahead and set up the user service stuff. So let's go back into our code. So let's hop back into our post username. We need to set up a couple more things to get it completely working for what we want to do. Inside of post username, we want to go ahead and add it to our props. So inside here, we're going to go ahead and say repost and boolean, because we want to be able to reuse this whether it's a repost or a regular. So this will kind of distinguish between those. Let's go and add repost into here. So repost And all this is kind of really going to do for the time being is we're going to go ahead and wrap this text here, this p tag. Let's come in here. Let's throw a curly brace here. And then we're going to go ahead and throw a curly brace on the bottom. So we're not going to see much of a difference right now. But basically what we're going to say is we're going to say, is it a repost question mark? If it's a repost, we're actually going to go ahead and have a span with a class name equal to post dash username dash repost dash user. Okay. And then on click will still be equal to navigate to profile. And then inside we'll still have author.nickname. So it's basically the same thing, but we're gonna have different styling on it because whenever it's on the top, it's smaller and gray. Whenever it's on the bottom or it's the actual post, it's going to be thicker and black. Right now, it's not going to be working because inside the post, we're not passing in repost. I'm not going to worry about that. We'll come back in there in a second and fix that up. First, we're going to go ahead and hop into our user service and set up so that we can actually fetch followers. So if I go into the user service, and actually, I think what we really want to do is I think we want to go into our user slice. So I'm going to hop into the user slice really quick. And inside the user slice, I believe we have this function get followers and get following. What we want to go ahead and do is we're just going to yoink these. So let's go ahead and delete these out of here. Let's go back to our user service. Let's go ahead and just paste them in. And then let's go ahead and export this function and then export this function. Now, this is going to cause issues in our user slice. So we need to go ahead and fix that really quick. Let's go ahead and import Axios. And there we go. Let's go back to our user slice and fix that. But now we can go ahead and import these get following and get followers. I was going to do this a little bit later on, but I don't really want everything to be broken. So we can just go ahead and space CA and import from user service, space CA, import from user service. And I just did this because we're going to be using this in other places. But now that that's good, we can go ahead and go back into our post username and actually pass in that following stuff. Back in our post username, now we can actually set up some state to grab this. So above our display modal, let's say const, and we're going to go ahead and say followers and set followers. And this is going to equal to use states, maybe. And this is going to be a user array. And then we're also going to have const following. Whoops, maybe. Following and set following equal to use state, which is a user array. So this is how we're going to pass this data down to our components. So now obviously this is empty. So now what we need to go ahead and do is whenever we open up the pop-up, we're going to go ahead and try to fetch the user data and then pass it along. We're going to say try, and then we'll go ahead and just catch an exception. If we have an exception, I don't know what we're going to do with it. Basically just nothing for the time being. Maybe I'll figure out something later on. Say const followers is going to be equal to get followers, and we're going to pass in author.username. And we need const and then following is equal to get following. This will be author.username as well. We need to go ahead and import these. Let's go ahead and import these, import and import. There we go. And then we're going to go say let maybe followers. And well, I guess I say following and followers equal to await promise dot all. We're going to go ahead and pass in the following. I think I put followers first. I don't know what my logic was here, but that is what it is. We're going to await promising all of those. And then we're going to say set followers is going to be equal to following and followers 0. And I spelled followers wrong. There we go. And then set following and followers 1. And then we still want to set display modal to true. So we can just go ahead and bring this in here. So let's go and yoink this and paste it inside here like so. And make sure we fix this up. Whoops. Maybe. There we go. cool. So now we are setting the followers and following whenever we open up the modal. And I was going to go ahead and like wait a little bit basically and kind of have like a timeout, but that was kind of causing issues. So it's just going to be instant now. It is what it is. And now we can go ahead and pass in the following and the followers. Like so, and now that should be happy, except it's not happy. Why is it not happy? Let's go into our pop-up to see if I can figure out what's going on here. Oh, you know what? It's because this could be null because we didn't set these to empty arrays. Okay, so now this isn't technically going to work because we still need to set up the post component. So let's go into post really quick. Okay, inside of post, you can see that we have a post username here that's broken. That's because we need to go ahead and put repost equal to false. Post equal to false, like so. And then up here we have the span class name repost user. We're also going to go ahead and get rid of this and add in a post username as well. And here we'll go ahead. Oh, you know what? I think we missed one thing as well. We'll have to go back to the username, but delete that. And let's go ahead and add in a post username. And this one will be author. Right? I think author is equal to, in this one, I believe we do feed post. Dot and then repost user. Yep. And then repost is equal to true. Like so. And then I believe if we come into here, let's go back into our post profile user or post username. We need to remember if it is a repost, we need to go ahead and say posted like that. Okay, so that's good to go. Now we need to go ahead and remove some duplicate code from our post and then put it into our other thing. So let's go into our post username CSS and then we'll go ahead and remove it from the post after that. So inside of our post username CSS, first thing inside the post username text, I'm going to go ahead and up the font size just slightly because I like it a little bit better at 16. And then below here, we're going to just set up a couple other things. So dot post dash, and then this is going to be username dash repost dash user. So this is going to be set up for the repost. So font size, so 13px, so it's a little bit smaller. We're going to have a color of pound, and then this would be 657786. And then we'll have a font weight of 600. We'll have a text dash decoration of none, padding of 0, and a margin of 0. And then here we'll have a dot post dash username dash repost dash user. And this is going to be the hover effect. We'll have a cursor pointer. And we'll have a text decoration of underline. Okay, let's go into our post CSS really quick. And now we should be able to remove this post repost user and post repost user hover. So that just cleans that up a little bit as well. So now we just have like 2 or 3 more things to really actually do here. So let's go ahead and open up our file explorer. And now we need a new component. So I'm going to go ahead and make a post profile. This can be pop-up icons. So post profile pop-up icons.tsx. This is going to go ahead and hold all of the different user icons basically. Let's go ahead and create the CSS just for the heck of it. Pop-up icons.css. And let's go ahead and hop in here. So this is going to hold all of the user icons. So let's import React from React. And we also need to import our user. So let's grab that from the global interfaces. And then we also need to go ahead and grab our default PFP. So default PFP from, go all the way back to assets. So there's 4, I think. Assets / default _ PFP.webp. Hopefully I got that right. Whoops. That's why it's mad, because I scuffed this. Okay, it seems like I found it. Cool. We'll also go ahead and import our / and post profile pop-up icons.css. So let's go ahead and just create an interface for our props. Post profile pop-up icons, props. And in here, all we're going to have is followed by, which is a user array, and we'll pass this in. We'll have export const post profile pop-up icons, which is a react.function component, which takes in our post profile icon props. It'll be equal to an arrow function, and we'll go ahead and pass in our followed by. And we'll also slice this, so we won't send all the followed by, we're just going to send the first 3. That's how Twitter does it. Let's go ahead and return our div class name equal to post profile pop-up icons. And inside, we're just going to have a map, so followed by dot map. And we're going to have our user. Oops. We're going to have our user, and we're also going to keep track of the index because of the way that we're going to stack these. It'll make sense in a second. And then here we're going to say if our user dot profile, and I probably could have done this a little bit better. But if they have a profile picture, what we're going to go ahead and do is going to return, return an image, and this will be source equal to, and this will be user dot profile picture, and then dot image URL, URL. Alt will just say PFP because I'm kind of lazy, of a class name equal to post profile pop-up. This will be the actual icon itself. We're going to have a style on it equal to, and this is where things are a little bit weird. We're going to say left colon, and we're going to go ahead and take that index, so $ curly brace IDX times 10. So we're going to kind of push to the left 10 pixels for every single one of our indexes. And then we can more or less take this. Let's see. I think I had an extra one there somehow. What is going on here? Style. Oh, I forgot the backticks. So backticks. I was confused why this is broken. Backticks. Let's see. Backticks. And then style, and I broke this. I'll get it right one of these days. There we go. So now we can basically go ahead and grab this as well and copy it. This time it'll be default PFP, so let's copy this. And I could have done this probably without the if statement, and it didn't copy. Thank you for that. Paste it. There we go. So now instead of user.profile.image, we'll go ahead and pass in our default PFP. So default PFP. Like so. So that's basically all this is. It's just going to loop through, stack them on top of each other. We need a little bit of CSS to get this working. Let's go ahead and just do that. And the CSS is very simple. So let's go ahead and go into our CSS here. And next we'll have .post -profile -popup -icons. And here we'll have width will just be fit content. We'll have height, which is just fit content, nothing special. We do have position relative because we are going to be moving the content around inside there. Set the margin to 0 and the padding, to 0. And then we'll have .post -profile -popup -icon. And here we'll have width 20px because we want it a little bit smaller. Here of height is equal to 20px. We'll have border is none. We're gonna have border radius. Border -radius maybe is equal to 100%. We'll have object fit cover. We'll have top 0. So we'll just set the top, and then we'll push it to the left. So it'll start at left 0. Left 10, so on and so forth. So now we just need to go back into our post profile pop-up. So now if we go back to the bottom here we're trying to figure out how to do this. Let's go ahead and delete this, and we'll pass in a post profile pop-up icons. We'll pass in followed by. This will be equal to, and we're going to go ahead and pass in followed by .slice. We're going to pass in the first 3, 0, 3. And that will return all of that. So now there's a couple other bugs that I want to fix up. and then we'll go ahead and I'm going to modify the data inside of our tables just so we can go ahead and test all of this. We already fixed up the user slides, but now I'm going to go into post more modal, and there's a bug that I noticed whenever I was working on this. So if we come down in here, first off, we can go ahead and this following list. So this const following is equal to return this. What we can go ahead and do is we can actually use that check following function that we created before. Like I said, I wanted to kind of clean up this code a little bit. That way we're not just reusing everything. Go ahead and just say check following. We can go ahead and pass in the following list in the author. Cool. I just want to make sure that we don't duplicating code everywhere. And if we scroll down here, there should be a part where following. So here we shouldn't be using a function. We should be using just following. And let's see, following, return following. What is the issue? Oh, you know what? It's because I turned this into a state. We're going to say const following. Let's just remove this, remove this. So this is const, whoops, following, and set following now equal to use state. Turn that in. This will be a Boolean like so. And then we need to kind of do this, do this, do this. This is kind of backwards, but it is what it is. It's fine. And do that. Cleans that up. And then now we just need to do a couple things inside of the backend. So one, we're going to focus a lot more on in the next episode. There's a really big bug or performance issue with the view. So I do want to just go and make one small fix in the backend for view today. And then what we're going to go and do is we're going to go ahead and fix it up in the next episode so it's not so slow. So we're inside of view post here. And for whatever reason, whenever we try to save post, it's still like making multiple views. So I'm just going to go ahead and say try here for the time being. Then we'll try to go ahead and return the save post. So if there's a view that already exists, it throws a already exists exception and kind of crashes the entire server. So we're just going to go ahead and bring in exception E here. And then otherwise we'll just return the post if there is an exception. We don't want to add it. Again, this is just like a minor fix. Next episode, we can come through and fix this properly. And then we're also going to go into our user service really quick. And like I mentioned before, I wanted it so that if you are following a user and you hit follow again, it'll go ahead and unfollow them. Kind of similar to how whenever we liked a post or did anything like that with post, it undid it if we had already done it once. So here in follow user, what we're going to go and do is we're just going to add some if statements. So we're going to go ahead and say if our following list dot contains, and we're going to pass in the followed user. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to say following list dot remove. We're going to go ahead and remove that followed user like so. Otherwise we'll do this. So do that. So otherwise we'll add them. Whoops. Same thing here. We'll say if our followers list dot contains, and if this following list contains logged in user, and this might be backwards. No, it's fine. Nope, it is fine. Cool. But then we'll say followers list maybe dot remove logged in user. So we'll remove them, and then otherwise go ahead and do this. There we go. And that should be good. So that's just clean this logic up a little bit, so then we can go ahead and follow and unfollow people whenever we click the follow button, and that makes the logic way simpler inside of our front end. So now I'm gonna go ahead and hop into my data, and I'm going to go ahead and update our post and add some more users. I'm not going to do that on screen. I'll just show you what I did. All right, y'all. So to make our list a little bit easier and seeing all the features, basically all I've did is I've added in 2 more users. So Jerry and Beth. I went and add them all in there. And then I also went ahead and followed everyone but Bird Person. And this is important because we want to be able to see the unfollowed person or the person that's not followed. And then here we have summary following some people. That way we can actually see the followed by, and then we also made a post by bird person and reposted it. That's just because I had some reposts in here, but it was kind of hard to see. I had to scroll down and it was broken and it didn't really work because the views were really slow. So this is going to make our lives a little bit easier. Let me go ahead and restart our backend server because it doesn't restart whenever we add in to the SQL. So let's go ahead and run that. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't need to debug anything because this episode's already getting pretty long. So let's hop into our front end and just take a peek at what we worked on today. When we refresh, we can see that summary post, so we can hover over. You can see they are followed by 6 people. They have 6 followers. It's followed by Rick, Beth, Smith, Mordog, and one other you follow. I'm not sure what's going on with this. We'll take a look at that. That shouldn't be doing that, but you can kind of see the idea here. Over here, you can see follow, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with this. I'm wondering if I just forgot to import something or if something isn't spelled right. We brought in the CSS. Let's just make sure the CSS is spelled properly. I forgot the most important part, which is forgot the position absolute, which is like the most important part of that. Go ahead and try again. And we need to put pixels on this. So let's go ahead and add px to the end of this, I believe. Rookie mistake. Let's add px. And 3rd time's the charm, fingers crossed. There we go. So we can see them stacked up. Obviously, this would look a lot better if we had all of the profile pictures there, but you get the idea. I don't know why it kind of moves around. It is what it is. But you can see they don't really follow in that we follow, and we have the repost and everything. So that's going to do it. That's going to go ahead and do it. I know it's a little bit of a longer episode, but we got a lot done. Next episode, we're going to go and work on getting the views counters working and not being so laggy. I have an idea with that. With that being said, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.